We are elected to listen to our constituents and not to go up with our ideas on what we want to do and change, or how we can benefit financially from serving in an office. We were supposed to go up there to look after our constituents and our people in the state of Florida. So I had a group of parents and teachers come in my office and said, what do you know about Common Core? And I had to be honest with them and say, well, I don't really know a whole lot about Common Core. I don't sit on education committees. There really hasn't been any discussion on the House floor about Common Core. So they started filling me in a little bit about Common Core. And I said, well, let me check into this, because this doesn't sound right. We're a state that don't believe in national education. We believe in state rights. We did not take up the national health care plan because we didn't believe in national health care plan. And so if this was a national education plan, why in the world would we be embracing this concept? So I wrote it at that time, the Commissioner of Education, and I said, can you fill me in on the Common Core standards? So he wrote me back and referred me to the Fordham report and said these were high standards, and that's why we've adopted them, and read the report. So I did. I got a copy of the report and I read it. And as I was going through it, it didn't appear to me that they were any higher standards. Matter of fact, our math standards, as Mrs. Caruso had indicated, were higher than the Common Core standards. Our English standards were just slightly below, but in my view, not enough to be spending, $750 million that we got from Race to the Top to implement these programs. So I wrote him back again, and I said, well, I did read it. In the meantime, he was gone. So then we had Pam Stewart as interim. So I wrote Pam Stewart, and I said, I did read the report, and I still have some concerns about this. And she wrote me back the standard letter of, well, these are rigorous. You're not reading the whole concept. You're not looking at it as a whole. So, it's okay. So I said, okay. So then I started drafting a bill. And, what I had asked in the bill, just because I really did feel that it wasn't enough information out there, we didn't have enough public hearings. So we drafted a bill, and the first thing in the bill was that the State Board must conduct one public hearing in each congressional district, which is 727 throughout the state, with at least one member of the State Board of Education in attendance at each hearing. Because if they are the ones that are approving and has the authority to adopt standards, they should be listening and hearing what the parents are having to say and what the teachers are having to say about those standards. So that was the first thing that was in the bill. The second thing in the bill was to do a physical analysis of the projected cost of implementation of Common Core standards, and it must be developed by an independent consultant. Because I thought it was important to know, if we're going to change our standards, how much it's going to cost us to change them. The third component was, before adopting and revising curriculum standards, the State Board must compare the Common Core standards to other nationally recognized standards of students' achievement. Again, do we need to be spending the money on, what are we spending the money on, and is it really standards that we need to change? The next component was that the State Board may not adopt Common Core standards in curriculum areas other than the English language arts and math. And my thought there was that we have to stop it somewhere. If we can't stop it here, we need to say you are not going to adopt them in any other subject of our education. And then the next standard was, or the next item was, Florida must adopt its own valid, reliable, and timely testing of student performance. That was, we need to develop our own. And again, it wasn't to take the Common Core standards and, as Mrs. Caruso said, change it. It was to get out of it and look at what we can do that's better than what Common Core standards are. And then the most important one to me was this: Florida State Board of Education may not enter into any agreement that cedes to an outside entity control over curriculum standards or assessment.
Amen.
For them not to be an elected official, for them to not be an elected official and have the authority to adopt standards that affect our children was beyond me how they had that control. So that was the other part of the bill. Governor Scott did do an executive order, and what he did do was require 3 hearings. Well, 3 hearings is better than none. So we had the 3 hearings, and I did attend 2 of those hearings throughout the state. We had one in Tampa, one in Davie, Florida, and then there was one in Tallahassee. I did not go to the one in Tallahassee, but I went to the one in Davie and in Tampa. And Karen was also there for them. And it was an outcry. And I don't care what the newspaper picked up or what was reported, but there was more people in attendance there that was against Common Core than people that were there in favor of Common Core. And there was a lot of information, a lot of comments that were made. So I was glad to see he put that in his executive order. The next one, the thing that he did not, though, is call for an analysis of the cost of it. The next thing he did was we did take us out of park assessment, which I praised him for that, and that also was in my bill, which the Speaker of the House and the Senate President had also called for us to go out of the park assessment as well, and that was also in his executive order. So, so as we're going in the right direction, and I really do believe that our state leaders do think that we're going in the right direction. They are making changes, and I think really and true in their heart, they think this is the right thing to do, but we're just agreeing to disagree on this issue. Because, in my view, we have to repeal what we have put in place in order to ensure that we are